Donald Trump just wrapped up what can only be described as a disastrous press gaggle on Air Force One, and it's because Trump was asked the one question he can't stand. What's going on with those Epstein files? Why did you release only 3 million of the 6 million? Why were those 3 million heavily redacted? Why did you keep deleting files when they mentioned your name? What's going on? But that's not the only question Donald Trump hates. He's tried to distract us from so much lately. The economy, ICE, Kristi Noem standing in the administration, and the press has largely played into it, allowing Donald Trump to distract them, to kick them out of the cabinet room, kick them out of the Oval Office. But that didn't happen tonight. Donald Trump was questioned on many of the issues that make him squirm, and squirm he did, especially on Epstein. But it started on a little bit of a happy note for Donald Trump. The man trying to avoid the charges of corruption, the allegations of his criminality, decided to openly talk about it and his extortion of the government when asked about his lawsuit against us, the American taxpayer.
And we're students you're suing the IRS. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like to be on both sides of a lawsuit?
It's very interesting. I have another one where, I've virtually won the Mar-a-Lago break-in suit. And, I have to work out some kind of a settlement. I'm supposed to work out a settlement with myself. Because, when the FBI broke in, we sued. Before I was president, I sued. And obviously it was a very good suit. And I have that one, and I have to work out a settlement.
Have you instructed Pam Bondi on how to handle that at all?
Well, I think what we'll do is do something for charity. We're thinking about doing something for charity, where I'll give money to charity. We can make it a substantial amount. Nobody would care because it's going to go to numerous, very good charities.
If I was Donald Trump, I would probably not be bragging about how much money I'm going to take from the American taxpayer through lawsuits that I oversee as president somehow, alongside an attorney general who is more corrupt than anyone who has ever sat in that office, who is also helping Donald Trump carry out the most corrupt cover-up we've ever seen. What type of PR campaign is he trying to do right now? It doesn't really make a lot of sense politically for Donald Trump to say, well, I'm getting so much money and I sued and I stole your money before and we're gonna do it again because Pam Bondi, she loves giving me money and it's gonna be fantastic. And oh, is she also helping me cover up the Epstein files? Why would you think that? Well, she's independent. Don't ask those questions. Well, what are you doing? Please stop. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it has largely been what Donald Trump has been able to communicate to the press. And they've fallen in line on so many issues, but they were willing to push back, again, as they started to push back and confront him on ICE and his threats against protesters.
Mr. President, back to your post on ICE protests, what did you mean when you said people will suffer an equal or greater consequence?
Well, if they do anything bad to our people, they will have to suffer. I'm sorry. If they start spitting in people's faces, punching our people, punching our soldiers, our patriots, they will get taken care of in at least an equal way. They're not going to do that. You see it, the way they treat our people. And I said, you're allowed, if somebody does that, you can do something back. You're not going to stand there and take it. If somebody spits in your face, that will not be a pleasant thing for the person that spits. We're not letting people spit in our soldiers' face as they stand at attention, and they're not allowed to do anything. If they throw bricks at a car, at one of our vehicles, and our very expensive vehicles, they're going to be met with very, very serious force.
Sir, do you think it's good?
The chilling effect of Donald Trump's threats, I think, continue to land a little softer, right? I think Donald Trump and his threats don't hit the same way as they maybe once did. Donald Trump is completely and totally politically impotent. His attacks on the press, they've failed. His attacks on his political enemies, ask James Comey how those landed. Ask Jack Smith how he's feeling. Think you're going to be able to ask Don Lemon very soon. Yeah, it's just not working. And so although protesters need to continue to make sure in Minneapolis and across the country that they are safe, yeah, I wouldn't be scared of Donald Trump. Obviously, we should be because of the horrific murders that they've already carried out. But yeah, Donald Trump, you're not scaring people. We're going to continue to make you look weak because that's what you are. And you kind of do it to yourself. When Trump was confronted with the Epstein files, I don't even know what he was going for with this answer.
Mr. President, what did you think of the latest release of the Epstein files, and do you think your critics will be satisfied with?
Well, they should be, because it looked like this guy Wolf, who's a writer, was conspiring with Epstein to do harm to me. And I didn't see it myself, but I was told by some very important people that not only does it absolve me, it's the opposite of what people were hoping, the radical left. That Wolf, who's a third-rate writer, was conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein to hurt me, politically or otherwise. And that came through loud and clear. So we'll probably sue Wolf on that. And maybe the Epstein estate, I guess. I don't know. But we're going to certainly sue
You
them.
want to sue the Epstein estate?
Well, you may, I guess so, because he was conspiring with Wolf to do harm to me politically. That's not a friend.
So this is a win? This is a win? This is how Donald Trump and everyone in his administration treats the Epstein files. It is a game to them. It is a pawn. Even if Donald Trump wasn't all through the Epstein files and so many crimes weren't exposed, the way he talks about these documents and what these women and girls went through is just abhorrent. He's like, I think we won. I think we did a great job with how I looked. I was fantastic. First of all, if you were absolved, I love that Trump is acknowledging like the implication of guilt of him in the file, like, because it's undeniable. If you were absolved, why are you deleting the files? Why are there redacted files? Why did it take you this long? What were you waiting for? There are mentions of victims littered throughout the files. And that's what the DOJ said that they needed time to fix. And then Todd Blanchfield came out and said, well, there's going to be mistakes. Huh? Why? You can't take a little bit more time? You've already blown past all your deadlines. Are you finally worried about the law now? I would also like to say to any journalist who has not been asking about the Epstein files this whole time, what are you doing? Like, how did we just now get a question? I know Donald Trump kicked the press out, but it is a little crazy. I'd also like to say, keep in mind that Trump just did like this whole very detailed, without real details, diatribe about how the files exonerate him, and it's Michael Wolff, and it's the radical left. So that anytime Trump, when he's asked about the files going forward, says, well, quite frankly, I don't know. I didn't read it. I didn't see that. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. It's like when Mike Johnson is like, sir, Mr. Speaker, Donald Trump said that he wants to blow up the House of Representatives. How do you feel? He'd be like, I hadn't seen it. There'd be like rubble around him. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. The building's on fire. He's like, I think it smells like freedom. Because that's the Mike Johnson shtick. But now you can never say, if Donald Trump has said that he is absolved, exonerated, everything's fine, no reporter should ever accept. They shouldn't from the beginning, but let's be real, they do. Shouldn't accept, well, I don't know what you're talking about. What's going on there? I don't know. And if they do accept it, you should be doing a different job. Seriously. Because Donald Trump's attacks on the press should only motivate the press more to cover his attacks on the press and cover up of, I don't know how many different corruption scandals in this administration. But Donald Trump made it very clear, as the press got him all riled up, how he's feeling about them right now. And one specific member of the media.
Very good job.
Do you have any knowledge of the arrest of Don Lemon before it happened? Did you have any conversation?
No, I don't know anything about the Don Lemon thing, but he's a sleazebag. Everyone's known that. He's a washout. Probably, from his standpoint, the best thing that could happen to him.
He's a sleazebag. What a terrible guy. What the fuck? I actually said this on, if you all were watching, you might have saw on Don Lemon's stream the other day, which was yesterday, because time is time. Oof. But I said, I do agree with the assessment Trump just made is right. Like, it was a stupid move politically, let's just be clear, for the Trump administration to go after Don Lemon, especially when they don't have a case. They don't have a case. Several judges shot this down, and we're not doing this. This is ridiculous. So Donald Trump is going to only invigorate someone who is a great journalist and does great work and the independent media at large. Right? This should light a fire under the asses of so many reporters who refuse to actually cover Donald Trump in any real way. Please do your jobs. Some of us don't have access to the White House like you do. I think there's a reason that some of us don't have access, and they do. It's because they don't really do their jobs. But no, it was an idiotic move, strictly politically speaking, for Donald Trump. We know that he loves to attack women who are journalists. Donald Trump always will take an excuse to attack any person of color. But he's just going to come out of this, again, looking politically impotent. He has Republicans turning on him, attacking Kristi Noem, Stephen Miller, calling for resignations, calling for firings, condemning the actions of ICE. And Donald Trump, seeing that the House is falling apart, that the Senate is turning on him, decided, how about I lose another attack on one of my political opponents? Also, at the same time as I'm using the DOJ as my personal protection racket to make sure that people don't see that I'm a pedo and a pedo protector, how about I instruct Pam Bondi to go after a journalist and a political opponent of mine? It is bad PR, but I guess they've moved past that to focus on bigger and better projects, like what Donald Trump was raring to talk about, his new arch.
Under plans for Washington, D.C., sir, the Washington Post reported that you're considering an arch that's 250 feet high. Can you talk a little bit about that and address critics who say that might be a little bit too large for the space?
We're considering an arc. It's like the Arc de Triomphe in Paris.
We do know that Millions of people have lost their health care, right? And we're doing, it is going to be a big arch. You said it's too big. Well, we'll make it bigger. And who's it going to be funded by? The people on the Epstein list. That's who's funding the arch. Don't worry, American taxpayer. You will, of course. You will have to pay for this. But, Jeff Bezos can pretend that he donated when he's not going to. Great stuff. But it didn't stop there for Donald Trump. There was one more in this press gaggle that was just weird. One more moment I think that was really worth paying attention to, and it was the mention of Kristi Noem.
How are you feeling about Secretary Noem's handling of the matters in the last week?
Well, she's done great. I mean, we have a closed border. We've taken out thousands and thousands of killers and murderers and everything else, removed them from our country by the tens of thousands. And we have the crime rate that's the lowest in history. I didn't do the crime rate stats. It just came out yesterday that we have the lowest crime rate in the history of our country. So how's she doing? I think she's doing well. She's a good person. She works hard. Tom Homan is a star. He's incredible. I mean, the guy's incredible. He's got an unbelievable, he's tough, and yet everybody likes him.